Hello everyone, welcome to Community Connection, your window to the world around you. Today we're talking with Linda Forte. She is the Vice President of Business Affairs for Comerica Bank and also part of their senior leadership. Linda has done amazing work, and I have had the pleasure of watching her do amazing work for a few years, and you get to talk to her today about what she does with Comerica and how she makes our life better. Linda, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for being with us today on Community Connection.
It's my pleasure, Siham, and thank you for all that you do in the community.
Linda, you have been really someone that that I felt has really made a difference in so many different areas. And Comerica Bank, of course, is known for banking, but what you do is phenomenal and so needed and necessary. I know, we sort of got to know each other because of the diversity platform, and you do a lot of things in regards to diversity. She's won a whole bunch of different awards, which if I mentioned would take us another hour. But tell us how important that concept is to diversity and what you've brought to it personally and professionally to that conversation at Comerica.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure to serve as Comerica's Chief Diversity Officer, as well as leading its Business Affairs division. So with that, Comerica, just by saying that Comerica has a Chief Diversity Officer, that obviously expresses the commitment that Comerica has to diversity and inclusion. Let me just say, for Comerica, it's a core value. It is a business driver. It is, we have a definition that we live by as a vision for diversity. And what we say at Comerica is that at Comerica, diversity is embracing an inclusive culture that recognizes, respects, and is sensitive to the differences of our community. And so that's what we live by. As a core value, each and every one of our colleagues is held by a standard of accountability for diversity and inclusion in their annual performance reviews. So we look to it, we have an expectation about it. We have several values that we delineate in a promise statement. The promise statement is to our shareholders, our colleagues in the community, and diversity is one of those 7 values.
7 values, absolutely. So, and obviously it definitely shows, but what are some of the initiatives that you have put forth for Comerica and its employees to actually support that vision and that mission?
So to facilitate our journey in diversity and inclusion is really important because that's the relevant part of this. You can have diversity, but the important piece is how do you practice your daily walk relative to leveraging diversity. So with that, we look at our programs and initiatives along four different main categories. So the first is that we expect our employees to be educated, informed, aware. So that's kind of a step.
That's very important.
That's
absolutely.
very important. We expect that inclusion is woven throughout all the practices internal to our company, and so that is important that we interweave into our operations, our daily operations. Thirdly is that we're engaging. We're engaging our colleagues, we're engaging our community, that we're all about, engaging people around.
Absolutely, and I see you at so many different functions, engaging and being part of that. And when you talk about inclusion, it's a broad term, and it's so important to have those around you and the employees actually engaged as well within the community. And it's okay if people don't agree with things or accept them, but being able to work with them and being able to, bring them on board as a working relationship is really important. And I know what you do. I mean, you're out there, you're hands-on, you're right into the middle of everything, and you do a phenomenal job. But what do the employees experience in terms of, being out there and community relations and really getting that real important education that they need?
Yeah, so thank you, Siham, because quite frankly, I'm just a facilitator, and it's really the colleagues in the institution. So let me give you an example of the whole notion of outreach, community,
Sure.
and build. So we have teams of employees led by our respected leaders in the organization. We have about 19 teams that are focused on various market segments, and their job is to really understand those segments and how to develop the best relationships there.
So are they teams that concentrate on different ethnic communities and markets?
Yes, different
Okay.
ethnic communities in particular, because that for us was where we saw opportunity for the organization. And so that's exactly how they engage, and they develop strategies around that engagement. And so what you see for Comerica is a product of their engagement. It's widespread, it's broad. They may take on the opportunity to support and sponsor an event to make sure that our presence is there, and that it's not just me out there being seen, but it's also our colleagues who are really out there each and every day in the community. I'll give you another example of engaging our colleagues internally so that they can provide the strongest link for our company. And we have another series of groups that are internally focused. They're focused on two things primarily. They come together because the employees are engaged because they have a common interest, and leveraging that common interest, they promote their own professional and self-development, and then they look to community outreach. So it's really, where can we be most supportive of the community? And so you'll see them engaged in walks in the community, or engaged in a community special effort at improving the community on some basis.
So there's a lot of volunteer work that is involved in being a Comerica family member as well. I know, there's the UNICEF initiative and the Cancer Walk and all kinds of different things. This, just veering off diversity for a second, something about the zoo and the penguins.
Oh, yeah.
I love penguins and I love the zoo, so Comerica's right in there.
Well, as you know, the Detroit Zoo is going to open a new penguinarium.
Yes.
And I hope I said that correctly, which I think is such a unique term. And it's going to feature penguins from all over the world. And
talk about diversity, right?
Right. And as part of our support, we actually made a contribution to the penguinarium, but we said, let's engage the rest of the community.
Sure.
And so we had a penguin drawing contest for those budding artists.
They're not going to win a penguin, are they?
That's right, they won't win a
no
penguin. But for children of school age around our community, kids were invited to draw or paint a penguin
Their
scene.
version of a penguin.
Yeah, their version.
How fun.
And how it appealed to them. And the winning drawing was going to win a trip for their class to the zoo, and to be, of course, the first to see the penguin.
Oh, how
So
exciting.
we were delighted to do that. Now, obviously, the way we engage the community is to have an online contest. So the pictures, the finalists were selected, and then the community voted.
That's involving
Yes,
everybody
that's
on
involving
the
everybody.
same platform.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. So do we pick a winner? Or
Oh, yeah,
waiting?
so a winner has been
Oh,
selected.
okay.
And in fact, I just saw a picture of her being celebrated among her classmates.
I'm sure her classmates. She's a popular girl today.
That's right.
There's another initiative that Comerica has been involved in, which I think is amazing. And if we had, like maybe 4 or 5 different entities that would have been involved in this, we would have been in a lot better shape in Detroit. But that is going into Detroit and helping with the bankruptcy. I guess there was a donation of $1 million. And also working with the pensions. Now, if we had maybe 4 or 5 of our, our conglomerates that did that, we would have been in a lot better shape. But what an initiative! Can you talk to us about the impact that had, and how that helped with moving forward?
Yes.
Which I'm sure, it probably was major.
Yes. Well, the bankruptcy was a very complex endeavor altogether.
Oh, Lord, yes.
And I give credit to all of those civic and elected and all other business and community leaders who had a role to play in getting to a solution that really has fundamentally set the city of Detroit on a path forward to make it the most remarkable city and comeback story ever. We were lucky to play a role in that, in this donation of $1 million, and that donation was to the concept called the Grand Bargain.
Right.
And the Grand Bargain was the linchpin in getting one of the linchpins in getting the bankruptcy on its way to resolution. And the reason it was is because there was, there was the part where we had to help resolve for pensioners an appropriate level of negotiation to get their piece of the puzzle done for the bankruptcy. And at the same time, utilize that opportunity to help support maintaining and retaining the Detroit Institute of Arts for the entire community.
Right.
And so that piece came together in the Grand Bargain. And as I said, we were lucky to play a role along with some of the finest corporate engaged partners that I've ever seen in life. And we're really proud to have done that piece and to know that that piece was so important in helping all the negotiations move forward in the bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And it's a multi-year commitment for us and for others that are part of the Grand Bargain. And at the end of that, we know that we will have solidified the future for pensioners and solidified the asset called the Detroit Institute of Arts for this entire community.
So do you think, I'm sure that Comerica had a huge involvement because there was so much talk about selling all the artifacts in DIA and what have you. So I'm sure that had a huge impact in being able to maintain those and keep them in the city of Detroit.
Yes, so the total Grand Bargain. And in the Grand Bargain, all said, and I don't want to be misquoted, but it was multiples of millions of dollars. And so, yes, that was really integral to the maintenance of the art under the control of the community in the city of Detroit.
That's huge.
As opposed to being sold off for creditors.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, if we had a few other, conglomerates within our area that had done that, I think it would have solved so many of the issues in the city. Not only in helping the city in volunteering, Comerica is also very conscious in entrepreneurship, and we were talking about this a little earlier, but the Hatch program, which was really incredible. It's getting me going and thinking, okay, I'm going to write a business plan here. But for future entrepreneurs, tell us about the Hatch program and how that works. And it's such an exciting, it's a contest, and anybody can enter. Does the business have to be in the city of Detroit?
Yes, so it's a
Okay.
retail, more brick and mortar business
Okay.
that will be opened in the city of Detroit, really to, obviously, to spur the critical mass of businesses that will serve the community in the city of Detroit. So let's talk a little bit about Hatch. So Hatch is an organization, right? And the organization itself, that's what their mission is. Their mission is to support retail businesses that will open up in the city of Detroit, and will support neighborhood development, continued neighborhood development in the areas that those businesses locate in. Comerica was fortunate to come along and partner with the Hatch organization, and now is the sole provider.
Comerica is fortunate to have the vision and the person behind that vision to know to go forward with this. Continue.
Yes. So for the past 4 years, and we are the sponsors of a $50,000 grant to a business that will open up. And let me tell you the most fun. It is so exciting. So businesses actually submit their business plans, write a business plan and submit that online for the Hatch contest.
And it has to be maybe a unique kind of business, or is it not judged on its uniqueness? It's more of its business plan and solid platform.
That's right. I would say, but what's happened when you see these businesses, they're all so unique,
right?
But I think so you've got a business plan that needs to be created and produced, because obviously we want the business to be successful, and we also take into account, what is that business going to do for the neighborhood that it's designed to locate in. And the team at Hatch does even a little bit more homework in terms of what kind of business does a neighborhood need.
Right, the demographics.
That's right. And anyway, it all comes together in the business plan. Business plans are identified. Finalists are identified from those business plans, and then the action begins.
Takes place, yes.
And that's because the finalists are introduced to the community of voters out there.
Oh, so the community makes the decision as well.
That's right. And so over the life of the 4 years, a couple 100,000 of individuals have taken a look at these businesses and voted on their top 10. And then those top 10 finalists actually come together and speak verbally about their plan, but importantly, come together in an evening so that you can actually see what it is they do. And
so the community is invited to be part of this, or
I think it's just a certain segment of the community. So they're I think each business gets
oriented individuals
gets a certain segment of invitations to come, because it's would be. But in any event, they're still working on their votes. At the end of the voting period, a winner is announced, and then that winner, of course, receives the $50,000 grant. But it's just not the $50,000 grant. They also receive access to technical services like marketing and legal and digital and really a couple $100,000 in addition to the $50,000 grant to get their business up and running. And so we've seen some amazing business. Last year, the organization that won, or the company that won, was a company called Sister Pie. So if you ever get out to Kercheval, just right in the heart of Indian Village in Detroit, and stop by the Sister Pie shop, it's one of the more unique places that you've ever been. and the pies are equally unique.
Something called salted malt pie. So that would be very interesting.
Very
to try.
interesting. And it's really, you have to go with, okay, I probably wouldn't mix those together on my own, but let me taste. And they are
burst
marvelous.
Of flavor. And what's really neat, I think, about that too is they use whatever's in season, and they'll make a pie out of anything.
That's right. That's right. It's fresh. It's delicious. It's so their offerings were just, and they have the cutest uniforms when you go. So it's
very
just
unique.
it's a very unique place,
and it's been successful.
That's great. One of the other winners is also a food establishment. It's called La Feria. And La Feria is located...
That's a restaurant, too?
That's a restaurant.
Okay.
And, Sister Pie I would consider more of a retail shop for pies. La Feria is a restaurant. It is a Spanish tapas restaurant.
Okay. Tapas. Got it.
Which is small plates. And so you get to enjoy these small plates.
That's like a whole bunch of appetizers.
That's right. Appetizer theme in a beautiful location on Cass near Wayne State. Near Wayne State. And so that has added, when you go down that street, it has added to the vibrancy. It has a window that's huge that opens out to the street where there are tables that sit. So it opens out to the street, and you're actually, you're actually partaking of everything that's in the neighborhood.
Oh, well, so, and that's been pretty successful.
And that's been very successful.
That's wonderful. I think, how long has that initiative been
so 4 years for us.
4.
Yes. Although the contest was initiated at least 1 year prior to our coming in to sponsor the Comerica Hatch contest.
So out of the 4 businesses that have won, are they all thriving and vibrant?
They're all thriving, up and open. Now let me just say this. Here's the story. It's really the other finalist who did not win.
Who were inspired.
Who were inspired, and many of those have opened their doors. And so if you think about that, over the 4 years that that's another 36 businesses that have had the opportunity. I mean, and some of ones that will ring a bell: Detroit Vegan Soul, Hue, the men's shop. So these are the kinds of things that or kinds of business opportunities that have been spawned as a result of the Hatch contest, and the ideas for many more people to think about their own business.
Absolutely. I mean, and I'm sure they all bank at Comerica now.
Well, we hope so. I haven't checked, but if not, I'm inviting you all to
absolutely
to think about banking with us, right?
Now, Comerica has a large presence in Michigan. Now, I know it has a presence outside of Michigan as well. Where do we have most of the branches?
So our banking centers, we as you know, Comerica was born in this great state of Michigan over 165 years ago.
Right.
And although today...
1849?
Yes! Very good. Although today we're headquartered since 2007 in Texas, in Dallas, Texas. Still, as you can imagine, the preponderance of our banking centers are here. That's right. The other market areas for us, and by the way, Texas is a very fast-growing market area. Doesn't surprise anyone because of the business environment there over the last few years. But that is Texas, our headquarters. So we are located in Texas, primarily Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin. Okay. We're also in California, and our northern presence in California is around San Jose. And then our southern presence in California is around Los Angeles. We also have Arizona as a market area and Florida as a market area. And but as I say, Michigan is the home of Comerica and the birthplace of Comerica.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I know there was was it, you said 2007 when
yes.
I remember
when we
that
relocated.
decision when it was to relocate the
Yeah.
headquarters out there. But they left the best people here, so
Oh.
we're still happy. We're still definitely happy. I know we're running out of time, but I just wanted to touch a little bit more on the diversity aspect.
Yeah.
I know that maybe twice a year you get the senior executives together and you actually do a diversity program for them, and I love it because you include the LGBT communities, the Hispanic community, the Arab American community, and then sort of rotate. Really quick, how effective has that training been? Once they leave that room and go out and actually, deal with the community? Have you seen that it's made a difference and that they've actually, been acclimated a little bit more?
Yeah, so first, all of our senior executives are required to go through a one-day diversity education session. And thank you, Siham, for being so much a part of the fabric of their learning.
Thank you.
It makes all the difference.
I hope so. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
And so you were asking me, so what difference does it make? So when at the end of the day, we ask our executives to, what they're going to do. We recognize that, we don't have control as an individual over everything.
Absolutely.
But there are things that we definitely have some control over. And so we ask them to think long and hard based on the day's learnings and experiences and their own exposure and experience generally about the one thing that they're going to do to make a difference. And then they work out a plan right there before we leave. They craft that plan, and we then take the plan back. We ask them to put it in an envelope, write their notes about how they're going to take it back, but the base of the plan, we ask them to put it in an envelope, self-address it, mark it confidential, we'll never open, but we send it back to them in 6 months.
To see if they've held themselves accountable to that plan. Beautiful. And have you seen success?
And most have.
That's wonderful.
Occasionally I get someone that says, you know what, it reminded me of what I had yet to do.
And to learn.
And to learn.
So very effective.
Yes.
Very effective. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Linda. It is always a pleasure to see you, and such an honor to have you here with us today on Community Connection.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Comerica, working for us, I guess. Thank you so much in so many different ways. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.